There's four qualities that create the culture in my New Zealand Sevens team that I truly believe in, and the first I suppose value or ingredient is this team. It's together everyone achieves more. It's not about one person in our side. It's not about relying on those players with the X factor. You know, I have a favourite saying in my team: whoever plays will do the job, and it's always about all of us and we, and that to me is everything. The second quality is unity, which is family. We've probably got the fittest rugby players in New Zealand. They work harder than any rugby player in New Zealand. It unifies them, you know, because my trainings are harder than most games they'll ever play. And that to me is a real key of togetherness, and it brings us very close. The third quality is passion and what the jersey really means to the players, and with passion's enjoyment. And we do enjoy ourselves, but the jersey means everything, and that, you know, it's just the fear of losing, and that's instilled in them as well. And the fourth quality is this discipline built around two areas. Nutrition. I'm massively strict on nutrition. What you eat is what you are, and if you want to perform with the best in the world and be the best you can be, you've got to have the right fuel. And the other part of the discipline, of course, which is really important, is having that work ethic. You know, I test them every time we come into camp, but more importantly, they need to work hard in their own environments, and that's really important. So when they come into my camps, they're at the fitness levels that I want. If you get those four qualities and you build those in amongst the players that you have, that creates the culture, which is second to none. When I select teams, there's two areas that I really select on, and it's coachability and character. Because if a player's got character, he's that team player that you want, and they're coachable. If they don't have that character, they're very, very hard to coach, and they're not generally the person that you want.
I saw that there's sort of four qualities you look for in a player in terms of their physical things: their skill, speed, vision, fitness. Are you very specific when you're looking at, say, schools rugby or unearthing gems that perhaps have, for some reason or another, haven't been spotted? Is it a tick list or is it an impression?
There's generally an impression. I'll see a player and I'll like what I see in terms of his skill sets, playing a game, and I'll do a lot of homework on that particular player, and certainly I'll even go as far back as school sometimes and find out why he hasn't made certain teams, because generally if they've got all that talent, they've made the other teams, and I'm not going to get hold of them anyway. So I generally look at a lot of players around development teams, etc., that haven't really been recognised, and you know, and it's, because I look at players also that are mentally tough, because in the game of sevens you've got to be mentally very, very strong, and there's a lot of rugby players out there so gifted, so talented, with a different array of skills, but they haven't got the work ethic, and they've gone away from sevens because it's too hard for them. You know, but there's a lot of other players out there who have a desire to play sevens for New Zealand and are incredibly fit, and they're mentally tough, and they're the ones that want to make it, and they're the ones that will make it and become All Blacks.
Teams often mirror their coaches, and you're obviously in great shape, and the burning desire, your natural competitiveness, you want to win. Has that always been part of you?
Yeah, it has been part of me. I've, you know, if I see someone ahead of me, if I'm going up the mountain in Mount Maunganui, I've got to catch that person up. It's just inbred in me. I'm just so competitive on a tennis court. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I just can't go into a gym and get on a rowing machine and just row for the sake of rowing. I've got to set some targets and obviously blow myself out. So, and I think it's easier to coach, and because you get the respect of the players, and I do all my hard yards in the mornings. And I work very, very hard, so it's a lot easier for me to go out and preach, because I practice what I preach. So that's the easy part, and the players understand that, rather than standing at one end of the field and have them do so many different things and me be totally unfit and don't look the athlete that I should be. So yeah, it's a lot easier, and I also know, because I do a lot of the stuff they do, so I know the standards and the levels they should be reaching, and I certainly know if they're falling behind.
And is it about, do you send teams out with a specific game plan? Looking more technically here now, Ditch, is it a game plan but with the ability to adapt? Do you need, I suppose you need rugby intelligence? You need rugby intelligence, but what sevens gives you, it gives the player the opportunity to express himself, and also around his decision making. Certainly we have certain plays and certain moves which we call for different teams. We have different styles, depends which team we're playing. If we're playing Fiji, our game plan against Fiji is totally different as if we were playing Australia.
and it's totally different again if we were playing England, because we've identified weaknesses and strengths around those sides, so we build a game plan around that. But what you must remember, you cannot be too robotic. After 2 or 3 plays, when you've called a move, then you've got to read what's in front of you. And that's what sevens does. It gives that player an opportunity to express himself. As he sees a spot or space, he accelerates through it. He has a crack at it, and you can't. In the 15s game, we have a lot of sequence play, and it's just so robotic and so predictable. In sevens, it's about expressing yourself and reading what's in front of you, and that's the real key. It's about instinct, which is also important.
Every year you lose, in a good way, some players perhaps who go on to then play. The list of All Blacks is 36, 37 from the sevens through into go from your nest into the main All Black nest. Does it sometimes? Is it frustrating that you have to start again, or is it an honour?
And sometimes, depending where you are in the competition and when it is and why it is, but it can be frustrating. But I look at the positive side. And if it means launching a player's career, because what it is, it's a promotion. He's gone from the New Zealand Sevens team to be a Super Rugby player. And then hopefully that player is also going to be an All Black. And I get a real thrill out of that. More of a thrill than perhaps winning a tournament, when I feel I've added something to that player and given something to that player for him to go on and be recognised. And Sevens has done that. And it's because I think the frustration is because we don't have the depth of sevens players in New Zealand. When I say that, there's a lot of rugby players, but the conditioning is so important. And if you haven't been playing sevens, to be good at the game, you've got to be playing it and training it. And because you only have 15 contracted players, all of a sudden you lose 2 to Super Rugby, all of a sudden you're down to 13. The game is so physical and quite confrontational now. You lose lots through injuries. So to find the players that are out there that actually understand the game, that are conditioned to the game, is quite tough, and that's why it can become quite frustrating sometimes.
Last question. You've signed, I believe, to take on the All Blacks, the New Zealand 17 through until the Olympics in Rio to 2016. What's going to keep you going, Gordon? You have done it. You're in the Hall of Fame. You've won Commonwealth golds. You've won Sevens World Series galore. Where is it? Is that what it is? Is it the Olympics? If it hadn't been the Olympics, perhaps would you have maybe not gone on?
In '98, I went to the to the Commonwealth Games with the New Zealand Sevens team. Here was first time rugby sevens at the Commonwealth Games, and when I went there, and then because I was looking to perhaps finish as early as that, because I took over in '94. So 98, 4 or 5 years for a coach was certainly a reasonable amount of time. So, of course, we went there and we won that. We won the gold medal, and it was such a great experience. It was unbelievable, and so I thought, wow, this is mixing with all the elite athletes of their different respective sports, but representing the sport of rugby was really quite special, and it was an amazing experience. And seeing those players receiving their gold medal to the tune of your national anthem and the raising of the flag is just an unbelievable experience, most memorable in my time and as a coach. And so then I actually hung in there into 2002, which was Manchester, and because we won that, and because shivers, I just hung in. So another 2-year appointment, and it went on. Then I found myself in Melbourne in 2006, and that sort of kick-started. We did pretty well there, and then of course in Delhi, and of course in 2010. So. And we beat a pretty good Australian team that day to win gold. So I look back at all those and I'm going, wow, So I thought, wow, well, mate, when it got admitted to the Olympics, and I thought, wow, I've got to be part of that. I'd love to, in some way, whether coaching or be involved in the Olympic program. And it's in 2016, and so who would have thought I'd be at 4 Com Games, and I'm going to be 5 actually, because I'll be going to Scotland in 2014. So there'll be another Com Games to go before we hit the Olympics. So, so I'm just hanging in there, and I think I'll call it a day, because that to me will be the pinnacle for me of quite a long coaching career, and that's finish up perhaps at Olympics.
Thanks very much for joining us on Total Rugby. Appreciate it.
Thank you.